rápido, es inteligente.
C'est l'un des meilleurs joueurs du monde.
He should have been the best in the world, the Golden Prince, but instead it never happened. Neymar had everything it took to be the main star in the game, but these days he's fallen off so bad, he's a video game addict now, which brings the question, what happened to Neymar? Growing up was tough for Neymar. His parents were so poor that they had to struggle to survive. Still, Neymar's dad, Neymar Sr., didn't let the situation stop him from providing for his family. And by the time Neymar could walk, he already had the liberty of picking the sport that would change his career: football. Neymar's talent was clear early on. He spent countless hours in the streets improving his skills, and by the time he was 11, Neymar was already one of the best ballers around. So good that a local team wanted him to come play for them. Santos and these guys changed his life. In the club, Neymar's talent was insane. He was moving up age groups fast, and just when he thought his life couldn't get any better, it did. See, Real Madrid had sent scouts to the area to search for the next big talents out of South America, and once they saw Neymar play, they couldn't take their eyes off him. They were convinced he was the one. As a result, they got in touch with Neymar's dad and gave him the deal of a lifetime. At 14, they were offering him a chance to come on trial to Spain at Real Madrid. Neymar and his dad said yes, and after getting to the Bernabeu, he impressed the scouts so much that they wanted to sign him on a permanent transfer. Everything was all set for the move, but at the last minute, Neymar said no, because he was homesick. Santos used the opportunity to recall Neymar back to the squad, and once the trial was over, it was all set for Neymar to become the next big thing in the squad, and let's just say Neymar blew up. In 2009, he made his debut for the club, and in that season, as a 17-year-old, Neymar notched up an impressive 14 goals in 48 games in his debut season. Neymar's first campaign was good, but in his second it got even better. In the Campeonato Paulista, he scored an impressive 14 times in 19 games for Santos, and his form was so good he was even getting hyped to make the Brazil team for the 2010 World Cup. Despite interest from West Ham and Chelsea, Neymar chose to stick with Santos, and in the following season, he delivered the biggest moment of his career with the Brazilian club. This goal in the final sealed it. He'd carried his team on his back with impressive performances, and in the second leg of the final at home, Santos won it 2-1 to become champions of the continent for the first time since the Pelé era. Neymar was certified star boy level now. 6 goals en route to the final, won the Best Player of the Tournament award, and even won a Puskás award months later. The kid could do no wrong. In the next 2 seasons that followed, Neymar was immense to everything good at Santos. He had 37 goals and 18 assists in 56 matches, and with form like that, he was the most talked about young talent in the world. Several clubs wanted him, and had even started a bidding war just to cop him. At this point too, it was clear that Neymar was destined for bigger things. It was almost as if he'd outgrown the club, and with the amount of clubs after him, Neymar himself knew a move was just around the corner, and with the help of his dad and his agency, in 2013, Neymar finally made the big move to the club that would change his life in more ways than one. He was now officially a Barca player. Years after rejecting Real Madrid earlier, plot twist. Neymar's new move was supposed to make him the star of the future. At least that's how the Barca fans saw it. In their eyes, Neymar was going to be the new prince of the club, and once King Messi's career was coming to an end, he'd take over. But his first season in the new club didn't quite go as planned. He had 15 goals and 15 assists in all competitions. But the truth is, Neymar's first season at the club was on and off. In the Champions League, they got knocked out in the quarterfinal stages, and in the league, it was Madrid teams who dominated. Atletico Madrid ended up winning La Liga. Still, Neymar had a chance to make things right in the summer, because with the national team, he was all set to play the starring role in the biggest event in football, the World Cup on Brazil's turf. In the opening game, Neymar was the man of the match. Croatia took the lead early, but thanks to Neymar's brilliance, they were able to turn it around and win 3-1. He popped up with a brace. Neymar added another 2 against Cameroon and helped the team beat Chile in the round of 16. But in the quarterfinal stage, Neymar's tournament came to an end, after an injury that almost ruined his life. According to the doctors, if it had been 2 centimeters more to the right, forget football, Neymar might have never been able to walk again. On the plus side, this injury gave Neymar more time to chill out and watch the videos he'd missed on footballers. and by the time the off-season was done and he was ready for 2014-15, Neymar had entered full beast mode. Barca added Luis Suarez to the squad, and together with Messi, Neymar became part of the MSN, the deadliest attacking trio in Europe. They scored over 120 goals that season, and Neymar hit a personal best of 39 goals and 10 assists in 51 games. 39 goals, bro! Insane! And he wasn't just stat-paddling numbers, too. Neymar was bagging goals in key games. In the Champions League semi-finals, he scored home and away against Bayern Munich. And in the final against Juventus, Neymar scored the goal that sealed a 6th Champions League title for Barca. That's the Neymar everyone wanted to see, and the performances were getting better. In the next season, Barca couldn't quite replicate the success of the previous campaign, where they won the treble. But Neymar still put up decent numbers. And by decent, I mean he had 31 goals and 25 assists that season in 41 games, and he took his form into the summer too. 2 years after the disappointment of 104, Neymar finally had his chance to make it right with the national team. In 2016 Olympic Games in Rio, Neymar was captain of the Brazil team that made it to the final. The match went into a penalty shootout, and after a German miss, Neymar had the chance to make history with his kick. Despite all their success in the past and on the international football stage, Brazil had never won gold in male football Olympics before. And as Neymar placed that ball down, the only thing on his mind was changing that fact. And seconds later, boom! He'd done it. Brazil had won gold in the Olympics. Now, Neymar was proving that he could step out on his own and carry a team, and this became incredibly evident in 2016-17, in the match that would turn his Barca career upside down. Barca lost the first leg of the Champions League round of 16 match to PSG 4-0, but in the second leg, Neymar stole the show with 2 goals and 2 assists to drag the team to a 6-1 comeback against the odds and turn it around. He owned the match, but by the time the headlines came out the next day, it was a familiar story. Messi was once again the cover boy and Neymar was in the shadows. I guess all of this kinda got to him because in the summer, Neymar sat down to think deeply about his future, and in the end made a decision that shocked the entire world. He signed for PSG in a $222 million deal to become the most expensive player in the world. And in the eyes of many watching, Neymar was finally stepping out of Messi's shadow. The main objective at his new club was simple. They'd been trying to win the Champions League as a long-term project for years and wanted Neymar to play a key role in that. Funny how this worked out though, because in the same window, PSG also signed a young French wonder kid talent called Kylian Mbappe from AS Monaco for a huge price fee to make him the second most expensive player in the world. And the plot twist, it was Mbappe grabbing the headlines at the end of the season. Neymar put up the numbers, but Mbappe grabbed the awards and capped it off with that World Cup win in the summer. Neymar also played all the tournaments too, but yikes! The following season was a repeat of the same thing. Neymar struggled to stay fit. When he was, though, he was magic. But the truth is, this didn't happen often. The 2 seasons he did stay fit, 2020 and 2021, PSG reached the finals and semifinals respectively. But they didn't win, and by this time Neymar and PSG were grinding to a halt. He was no longer the face of the club. Mbappe had taken over that, and what's worse, the one person he ran away from in the first place had caught up to him. Messi signed for PSG. The front 3 of Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar didn't work out, and on the international scene too, time was running out for Neymar. He gave hints that the 2022 World Cup might be his last, and to be fair, he did everything he could to ball in the competition, including scoring what he thought would be the goal to send them to the semis in extra time against Croatia. But they got knocked out in the summer, meaning his World Cup dreams were over, and at club level, his time in France had come to an end too. In the summer of 2023, Neymar and PSG decided to call it quits. He'd gotten more than his fair share of goals and assists in big games. 118 goals and 77 assists in 173 games for PSG. But the truth is, in the games they needed him the most, Neymar either wasn't there or simply couldn't perform, and the fans always made it worse. Neymar wanted to, and lucky for him, another club was ready to give him his next adventure, even though this one took him somewhere it didn't seem like he'd be at 32. Al Hilal in the Saudi Pro League signed him for $90 million. Currently, Neymar's out injured. He tore his ACL and his meniscus with Brazil, and he spends most of his time now either playing video games or attending events. When he does come back, it remains to be seen if he's ever to be as good as he used to. The injuries played a part in his downfall, but ultimately, the desire to want to be a star on his own made him lose everything. And at 32, Neymar is nowhere near the player he used to be. What a shame. If it's any consolation, he loves watching footballers too.